The National News Desk, locally covered, nationally connected.
Let me tell you, I'm a lot tougher than the people you're talking about, but you have to know when to use that.
President Trump details why sanctions and military options are not currently on the table in multiple ongoing peace negotiations.
We are going to, in essence, gut the air traffic control system and build it brand new.
Newark's airport is getting a total facelift. The upgrades coming to the troubled facility in the next month. And then the Atlantic hurricane season is fast approaching, but the first named storm of the Pacific season is already forming. This is the National News Desk, America's News. Now, good evening. We are glad you are here with us. I'm Dee Dee Gatton, and we begin with President Donald Trump and peace negotiations on 3 fronts around the world, answering questions in the Oval Office today. We'll get to all of that in just a moment. But first, President Trump addressing the growing fight between the administration and Harvard. The president says he wants to cap foreign student enrollment at the prestigious university at 15%.
We have people who want to go to Harvard and other schools. They can't get in because we have foreign students there. But I want to make sure that the foreign students are people that can love our country. We don't want to see shopping centers exploding. We don't want to see the kind of riots that you had.
Last week, the Trump administration revoked Harvard's ability to enroll international students, but the move was temporarily blocked by a federal judge. White House officials say the action was taken because Harvard has created an unsafe campus environment for Jewish students. Harvard argues it was retaliation for defying the White House's political demands. When it comes to the war in Europe, the president says we could learn more about those negotiations as soon as next week, as he doubles down on his new opinion of how Russian President Vladimir Putin is handling the war.
We're going to find out very soon. We're going to find out whether or not he's tapping us along or not. And if he is, we'll respond a little bit differently. But it'll take about a week and a half, 2 weeks. I'm very disappointed at what happened a couple of nights now where people were killed in the middle of what you would call a negotiation. I'm very disappointed by that.
While in Gaza, the Israel-Hamas war hit its 600th day today. The president calling on Special Envoy Steve Witkoff to explain where things stand with their new offer.
I think that we are on the precipice of sending out a new term sheet, and I have some very good feelings about getting to a long-term resolution, temporary ceasefire, and a long-term resolution, a peaceful resolution.
And then there are the nuclear talks with Iran. Trump says they are going well, while Israel waits with a military option at their disposal. Trump confirmed today that he has told them to hold off while negotiations are taking place.
President, back on Iran, did you warn Prime Minister Netanyahu against taking some sort of actions that could disrupt the talks there in a phone call last week?
Well, I'd like to be honest. Yes, I did. Yeah, I told him this would be inappropriate to do right now because we're very close to a solution. Now, that could change at any moment, could change with a phone call.
We have continuing coverage of all of these negotiations on air and online at thenationaldesk.com. Federal funding to California is now at risk after a transgender athlete's participation in the state track and field championship. Here's national correspondent Kelly Gaskins.
Transgender athlete A.B. Hernandez taking first place in 2 girls track and field qualifier events.
I'm glad that I performed pretty well, and I'm just excited.
And is now headed to the California High School State Championships.
Took a medal that belongs to somebody else. That is cheating. Obviously, we're not going to stop until common sense is common again when it comes to protecting our daughters.
President Trump writing on Truth Social, this is not fair and totally demeaning to women and girls, threatening to withhold federal funding to California if they allow Hernandez to compete, claiming it would violate the executive order he signed in February to protect women's and girls' sports.
I rescinded federal funds to, and this is so important, to any program that promotes transgender ideology using taxpayer dollars. We're not going to do it.
After Trump's threat, California announcing a last-minute tweak to its competition eligibility rules, allowing biological female athletes who missed qualifying for states due to the participation of a transgender athlete to compete.
So I think that the girls that are competing will see a large group there that are in support of them.
An AP poll from May shows about 73% of U.S. adults think transgender athletes should not be allowed to participate in girls and women's sports at any level. California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom even acknowledged to conservative podcaster Charlie Kirk it's not fair.
Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. It is an issue of fairness.
Sinclair's KMPH in Fresno, California, confirming President Trump called Newsom on Tuesday to discuss the trans athlete issue. Newsom's office says the governor was attending an event and was not able to connect. He hopes to speak with him soon.
Also on Wednesday, the Justice Department opened an investigation into California's law allowing trans athletes to compete in women's sports to find if it violates civil rights law or not. Kayla, Maine is another state in the administration's crossfire on this issue. What's the latest there? It is, Dee Dee. So Maine's governor almost immediately challenged President Trump's order barring transgender athletes from competing in women's and girls' sports. And then the governor of Maine and President Trump had this viral exchange at the White House event directly after this order was signed, where Trump ended up telling the governor of Maine, "I'll see you in court," to which she responded, "I'll see you in court." Well, they will see each other in court, or well, at least their representatives will see each other, and that case is now set to take place in December. We'll be watching for the results of that. Live from Washington, D.C., Kayla Gaskins, thank you. A teenager in custody on a $2 million bond after a shooting at a Connecticut mall yesterday. 19-year-old Tajuan Washington is accused of shooting 5 people at Brass Mill Center in Waterbury. He's facing assault and weapons charges. Police said Washington knew one of the victims. The mayor said 2 people are still in the hospital. And a manhunt continues for a former police chief known as the Devil in the Ozarks, who escaped from an Arkansas prison over the weekend. Officials are searching the rugged mountains for Grant Hardin, convicted of rape and murder. Hardin was, look right here, disguised as a corrections officer, which allowed him to escape through a secure gate. And officials said his clothes were not the standard uniform for officers. Meanwhile, 2 fugitives from the New Orleans jailbreak 2 weeks ago, they are still on the run. Derek Rose and Antoine Massey, pictured here. Still unknown, though, if they are together, but witnesses in Mississippi told police they saw 32-year-old Massey Tuesday morning. Authorities now say he's no longer in the area. Both inmates should be considered armed and dangerous. And yet another fight over immigration has landed on the doorstep of the U.S. Supreme Court. Trump administration officials are insisting they should be able to send illegal immigrants to countries where they're not from if their home countries won't accept them, as is happening more and more. Here's national correspondent Christine Frizzell.
This U.S. military base in Djibouti, Africa, just the latest front in President Trump's war on illegal immigration. It's where several men, all illegal immigrants convicted of serious crimes, are being held as a fight over where they can be sent next plays out. Their photos on display at a recent Homeland Security briefing.
No country on earth wanted to accept them because their crimes are so uniquely monstrous and barbaric. Murder, rape, child rape, rape of a mentally and physically handicapped victim.
The U.S. Supreme Court now asked to intervene after a federal judge in Boston blocked their deportations to South Sudan, where just one of the men is from. The judge accusing Trump administration officials of, quote, manufacturing the very chaos they decry. It's one of many immigration-related cases the Supreme Court has been asked to weigh in on. And several times the court has insisted the president both has the right to deport illegal immigrants, but also that those immigrants have a right to due process before they're deported. Those deportations have been the subject of protests around the country, including this one Monday in Tennessee.
I'm married to an immigrant who's working on his citizenship, and it's been a very hard time recently because I don't know if he's ever going to come home when he goes to work.
Nashville's Mayor Freddie O'Connell now facing blowback after ordering city employees to report all communications with ICE, following a recent operation in which nearly 200 illegal immigrants were arrested.
The Homeland Security and the Judiciary Committees will be conducting an investigation into the mayor of Nashville, his conduct, and whether or not federal dollars have been used in criminal enterprise.
Brewing battles over immigration now a daily occurrence in communities across the country as the tug of war between the Trump administration and the courts plays out. I'm Christine Frizzau for the National News Desk.
Turning to new developments, the Trump administration is suing North Carolina's election board for violating a 2002 voting law. The Justice Department claims officials failed to collect a driver's license or the last 4 digits of a social security number to check voters' eligibility. The DOJ wants a judge to force the board to obtain those numbers. Board officials said earlier this year roughly half of those voters provided an identification number. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says officials are working to address concerns at Newark Liberty International Airport. The busy New Jersey airport has struggled with outages and staffing shortages. Duffy says 16 air traffic controllers are being moved from other airspaces to help at Newark. He notes Verizon has laid a new fiber line between Philadelphia and New York.
I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but if everything goes well, and there can be problems when you test the line, but if it all goes well, we should be able to turn over to this new fiber line at the start of July.
And a new runway is also slated to open in June. Duffy emphasizes the airspace is safe, but he's calling on Congress to provide the funding needed to upgrade the country's antiquated air traffic control system. The trial of Sean Diddy Combs will continue as the judge denies a defense motion for a mistrial. Combs' attorneys claim prosecutorial misconduct when an LA Fire Department investigator was being questioned about evidence that was destroyed at Kid Cudi's home. They said it was implied Combs was involved and not stated, and that was prejudicial to the jury. The judge ordered the jury to disregard that part of the testimony. Meantime, the prosecution says they are ahead of schedule and may even drop some of their scheduled witnesses before the trial is over. Still, they are only about halfway through their case, aiming to wrap in 2 weeks. The defense will then have a chance to present their case. Coming up, the Atlantic hurricane season is almost here, but the first Pacific tropical wave of the year, that's already here, where that system is headed now. Then, the highly contagious disease that's causing a chronic cough in more and more people. And later, the action Democrats in New York are taking to try to stop deportation flights on commercial airlines. We'll be right back. The first tropical storm of the year is developing right now off the western coast of southern Mexico. The National Hurricane Center says it is currently a depression, which will increase in strength as it is named a storm as early as tonight. You see, that's Mexico right there. Now, hurricane season in the Pacific began only 2 weeks ago. This storm, when it develops, will be named Alvin and then most likely will turn north in the next 5 days up the Mexican coast. Now, due to colder waters and wind shear. Forecasters predict it will make landfall somewhere on the northern Mexican coast this weekend in a more weakened state. But it certainly could still bring heavy rains and winds to the southwest U.S. on Sunday or early next week. We're tracking it for you. Macy's will raise prices to counteract the impact of tariffs. Today, the CEO said some items will stay the same price, but others will cost more, and certain items will no longer be sold. The CFO told CNBC around 20% of Macy's merchandise comes from China. These changes come as the department store chain is also trying to shift more towards quality over quantity. More departments of government efficiency employees, they can now access a sensitive Treasury Department system that distributes trillions of dollars. A federal judge who blocked Doge's access reversed course after the Trump administration explained the Doge employees were vetted and trained like other Treasury Department staff. As Elon Musk spends less time on Doge to refocus on his companies, the billionaire is now speaking out against one of President Trump's top priorities, the one big, beautiful bill. The National News Desk, Matt Gelker reports from Washington.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both.
Elon Musk, the billionaire White House advisor who was a fixture of the first 4 months or so of Donald Trump's second term, is publicly breaking with the administration on the big, beautiful bill.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly. Which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
Musk's criticism comes as he's taken a step back from government work after high-profile public backlash to Doge's work of trying to downsize the federal government. Doge rapidly cut staff, programs, and entire agencies since it was established earlier this year. The Trump-backed bill contains a number of the president's priorities, but also carries an estimated $2 to $4 trillion price tag to pay for some of the proposals, including extending 2017 tax cuts, defense spending, and more money for immigration issues.
The reaction's a lot of things. Number one, we have to get a lot of votes. We can't be cutting. We need to get a lot of support, and we have a lot of support.
Musk isn't the only one speaking out about the bill that barely passed the House last week. Republican senators have voiced concerns over the potential added national debt the legislation might bring, and those concerns could be enough to stall the bill's progress.
I think we have enough to stop the process until the president gets serious about spending reduction and reducing the deficit.
In a different interview with the Washington Post, Musk defended Doge's work while admitting trimming the bureaucracy was tougher than he thought it'd be. He also told the Post Doge turned into the whipping boy for everything in Washington. House Speaker Mike Johnson tweeted praise on Wednesday for Doge's work and also a plan to make Doge's cuts permanent. But those cuts cannot be made in the current Big Beautiful Bill reconciliation package. Instead, they need to come through different budget processes. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka for the National News Desk, America's News Now.
The Trump administration is making big moves impacting the cryptocurrency industry, including relaxing Biden-era barriers to buying crypto and related assets like NFTs and 401k plans. Vice President J.D. Vance spoke about this today.
There's still this perception that digital assets are not welcome in the mainstream economy, and let me promise you that our effort to change the policy is purely about changing that. We want our fellow Americans to know that crypto and digital assets, and particularly Bitcoin, are part of the mainstream economy and are here to stay.
Meme coins in particular are infamous. They've been subject to a wave of rug pulls where big investors with inside information sell at a moment's notice, leaving smaller buyers with millions in losses. Beginning in January, Apple and Google will have to verify a Texas user's age in the App Store. Children under 13 will need parental consent to use it. Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a law to give parents more control over mobile apps their children download. Both companies oppose the bill, with Apple citing privacy issues. An Apple spokesperson says there are better proposals to help keep kids safe. Meta, X, and Snap, they praise the legislation, calling on Congress to pass similar laws. Meanwhile, in New York City's congestion toll is safe for now. A federal judge issued a temporary restraining order against the administration from withholding federal funds against New York State for keeping the toll in place. New York Governor Kathy Hochul says the toll will stay active until a judge orders it to stop. The U.S. Department of Transportation says the tolls are an unfair charge to Americans to go to work, see family, or visit the city. If you're struggling with a chronic cough, it may be linked to a few illnesses on the rise. Medical reporter Liz Bonis shares how to separate the symptoms to get the right treatment.
Hey there, everybody. There are several reasons a cough can linger right now, but public health specialists say especially one of them is a reason to see your healthcare provider.
It's pertussis, or whooping cough. Its biggest risk is for babies. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, however, recently released preliminary data which shows a lot of adults are getting whooping cough now, too. 6 times as many cases were reported last year than the year before. A trend public health specialist, Dr. Steve Fagans, told me has only continued to climb.
Pertussis can, in fact, result in a cough for 100 days. People even call it the 100-day cough.
The whooping cough vaccine is the best way to prevent pertussis, but as with other vaccines, its use has declined.
How do you treat it?
Yeah, you treat it with azithromycin, the Z-Pak. And we not only treat individuals with pertussis, if there's a child or whatever, we also treat the family members.
A second reason for a chronic cough, irritation from a wet spring that has led to a bad allergy season in much of the country. Dr. Fagan says if you have a cough that lasts for more than 3 weeks, ask your doctor to evaluate it because you could have
something irritating from above, allergic rhinitis, dripping down, irritating the diaphragm.
Third reason, a complication from asthma can also lead to a chronic cough.
The cough is sort of a variant of a bronchospasm.
Now, with any of these, doctors say the time to seek medical attention is after a few weeks if a cough keeps getting worse instead of better. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonis reporting.
Coming up, chaos unfolds when LGBTQ advocates clash with anti-abortion protesters in Seattle. We'll have that story right after this. We have reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering issues that matter to you. We're taking the pulse of America, and we start in Washington, where LGBTQ advocates clashed with anti-abortion protesters.
God loves you. Confrontation and anger as 2 competing groups rallied outside Seattle City Hall.
I don't think that hate should be welcome in Seattle.
A religious group is criticizing the city's and mayor's handling of the weekend unrest at Cal Anderson Park. There were 23 arrests when LGBTQ protesters disrupted a rally held by the anti-abortion group Mayday USA. Counter-protesters say they believe the messaging Saturday and on the steps of City Hall is hateful.
It has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with bigotry and discrimination and bias and hate.
This group is a group that loves the Lord and loves all people. We might not support what people do, but we do love all people.
I believe we are facing a constitutional crisis. The president is consolidating authoritarian control, striking fear into the hearts of our immigrant communities.
And private airlines are cashing in on the suffering. Shame on you! Shame on you!
The science says it best. Deportation without due process is abduction.
The Safe Air Act, introduced by Democrats, would ban deportation flights in New York State by commercial airlines contracted by ICE without a valid judicial warrant, guaranteeing access to legal counsel and an immigration hearing. Republican Assembly Minority Leader William Barclay says the bill is just a political attack against the Trump administration.
The mystery of a woman found dead in May of 2018 is finally solved.
We have identified her as Patricia Kalina Goodwin.
Kids playing near an apartment complex playground found the 71-year-old's remains 7 years ago. For Goodwin's remaining family, closure couldn't come soon enough.
Her brother passed away a month ago, still wondering what had happened to his sister. But at least her nephew knows now and the rest of the family.
The coroner says Goodwin was originally from Mason and was homeless at the time of her death. She died from a drug overdose.
Coming up, America's favorite theme park has been announced, and once again, Mickey didn't win. Which popular spot was rated the #1 summertime destination? We'll have that right after this. Well, summer is right around the corner, and Dollywood has been named the favorite theme park in the U.S. for a third straight year. The National Amusement Park Historical Association released its annual survey ranking favorite theme parks. And Dollywood, located in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, has over 50 rides and attractions. According to the website, more than 2 million people visit each year. Disneyland in Anaheim, California came in second place for favorite theme park. Some inspiration for you as you plan your trips this summer. That's going to do it for us for this edition of the National News Desk. We invite you to join us again this evening with new calls to investigate Joe Biden's auto pen usage. We're going to look into a pro-energy group's findings that's raising some questions about the former president's knowledge of what he signed. I'm Dee Dee Gatton. Thanks for watching. See you tonight at 10.